What we've learned so far will shock you and will shock the American people. There's a flood of counterfeit parts entering the defense supply chain. It is endangering our troops and it is costing us a fortune. The Department of Defense and our military leaders don't want counterfeit parts in our defense systems. The defense industry doesn't want counterfeit parts in our systems. Our electronics industry, which loses an estimated $7.5 billion a year globally to counterfeiting, doesn't want counterfeit parts in their systems. The only ones who benefit are the counterfeiters, and that's because they are raking it in while taxpayers are shelling it out. The Armed Services Committee is going to act to get defense contractors and the military to purge these counterfeit parts from the supply chain. But let me be clear. As we do that, we are going to take action to stop the flood of counterfeit parts at the source. And that source is mostly China. Tomorrow, we're going to hear from a witness who has firsthand knowledge and has seen firsthand how counterfeiters in China remove electronic parts from scrapped computers and other electronic waste, how they then wash the parts in dirty rivers and dry them in the streets. We'll hear how the counterfeiters make this scrap look like new parts. And then we'll hear how these parts are sold openly as new parts in markets in Chinese cities like Shenzhen, the epicenter of the counterfeit trade, and they're also sold through the internet to buyers around the world. As we announced in June, the committee sought to send investigators to mainland China as part of this probe. Chinese officials refused to issue visas to our staff, despite repeated requests to the embassy here in Washington and through U.S. diplomats in Hong Kong and Beijing. A Chinese embassy official told staff that the issues that we're investigating were, quote, sensitive, and that the investigation could be, quote, damaging to U.S.-China relations. Well, the Chinese have it exactly backwards. What is damaging to U.S.-China relations isn't our investigation. It's China's refusal to act against brazen counterfeiting, which endangers our troops and our missions. If China will not act promptly, then we should treat all electronic parts from China as suspected counterfeits. That would mean requiring inspection at our ports of all shipments of Chinese electronic parts to ensure that they are legitimate. We cannot afford to put our troops at risk by arming them with unreliable weapons. We cannot afford to spend needed defense dollars on fake parts. We cannot allow our national security to depend on electronic scrap salvaged from trash heaps by Chinese counterfeiters.